The other day during one of my Maya OP8 playthroughs, I was talking about scaling, and I tried to make the case that I think more difficulty is good, less difficulty is bad. I know, how do I want to put that? Like, everyone kind of has their personal feeling on it. Like, I like difficulty, so of course I think that's good. Or some other people don't like UVHM, so they think it's bad. And you can never really come to an agreement because people just disagree. But I wasn't coming to it where I think the difficulty is good for me. I think it's better for the game. And I'm gonna go through some numbers here to why we reached that conclusion. I didn't just make it up and come to it without any reasoning. And I mentioned Steam charts, and that's where I am now. And I'm going to dig into this in just a second, but before I do, I'm going to go about why I think some of the reasonings are wrong. A while ago, I got in an argument with someone that makes YouTube videos and has a lot of views on it. And they were saying, well, yeah, they need to scale down UVHM and make it easier because I hear it every day by hundreds of people in my YouTube comments, and I have a ton of subscribers, and it's a massive community, but it's not. So let's say one of these people has about 200,000 subscribers. I'm just kind of pulling that number. That's a big number. And on an average video, they get about 50,000 views, which is also a big number, and it's very impressive. You know, they'll have a lot of comments in there. But this game has sold over 12 million copies by the last reports we had about it in March, and that was pre-Handsome Collection, I'm pretty sure. So I wouldn't be surprised if we've got 15 million copies of Borderlands 2 sold, which is a shitload of copies. So let's say you have even 500 people in your YouTube comments saying, this game is too hard, UVHM has no balance, the scaling's bad, it ruins the game, and people are leaving the game because of it. Does it make it true? No, because 500 people compared to 15 million is not a significant number, really. It's really a small amount of people. It sounds big, but it's like when people are talking about like the U.S. debt and the GDP, and oh, we can't spend $5 million on this. $5 million is nothing. It's a lot to me in my personal account, but it's nothing to the U.S. GDP. And people often get confused with big numbers, if they're relative or not. And the other thing is it's anecdotal evidence. So A, the numbers aren't there to support it. B, it's just anecdotal. And then the third point to those is they're echo chambers. So if on all your YouTube videos you just say Borderlands sucks, this sucks, this sucks, your fans that agree with you are going to say, yeah, it sucks, and kind of, kiss your ass and agree to you. The other people, you might get a few people that like, no, you're an idiot, or they're just going to move on and stop watching you. So what you do is you create an echo chamber. Another good example of this, you see Fox News, which is, a conservative news channel. I say news lightly, but a conservative channel, and they'll take polls. And their polls always reflect their views. It's like 90% of the people agreed with us. Oh, of course they do. They're your viewers. And then MSNBC, which is also arguably news, does the same thing, and it's all liberal because they're a liberal progressive channel. And that's the way. It's just echo chambers. People watch what they agree with. So if you hear a bunch of people agreeing with you, because it's your damn channel, of course they do. You'll hear a couple of voices of, argument, but not many. So those aren't good reasons for saying, like, I have a factual database because I heard 100 people say this. That doesn't mean shit. So, Steam Charts. Steam Charts is a cool site that shows you how many people are playing which games on Steam only. I wish we had this for Xbox and PlayStation as well, because then it would be really helpful. So, It's kind of cool to see Tales of the Borderlands trending up top there, so just more Borderlands love. And on the top records, you see Borderlands 2. This is when it launched. Set one of the records for most peak players. Of course, Dota 2. That's crazy. Yeah, this is a small list here. I think they're number 6. Yeah, so that's pretty impressive. So here we're going to go to the top games. It shows the top 10 on the homepage here. And if I click more, it'll go to the top 25. And I don't think Borderlands 2 is still... It sneaks into the top 25 still from time to time. But other times it pops out. And let's see where it is. 34. For a game that's 3 years old, that's pretty solid. You know, I mean, there's a lot of games out there. So 34 is not bad. And until the pre-sequel came out, Borderlands 2 really never left the top 25. I hope you guys can't hear that traffic outside. I got the windows open because it's been hot as hell lately, and now it's got this nice cool breeze. But unfortunately, I live kind of off of a major road, so you get traffic. Anyways, so we have a lot of numbers here. And every month you got a plus or minus, both number and percent of the average players that month. And then you get the peak player. Peak players I'm not as concerned about as the average players. I think this is a better data point. So you started off in September 2012 with 61,000 people on board, which is pretty damn impressive. I'm sorry too if I cough every now and then. I'm just getting over a bit of an illness. But so October they dropped 47% of their player base, you know, almost 30,000 people, almost cutting it in half. And then it got cut in half again in November, down to 15,000. So in 2 months, 45,000 of the 61,000 people disappeared. And that's not really good for the game. They kind of flattened out in January and December. I'm guessing part of that due is to holiday sales and people getting the game as a gift. And then in January, you know, really flattened out. So I'm guessing part of that's a little gifting as well. And then it started to drop more in February, even more in March. And then in April, you start to see increases. So what was the turning point there where you just get negative, 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 and then you start seeing a lot of big positives? What came out in either the end of March or early April? And the answer is Ultimate Vault Hunter mode came out on March 23rd, 2013. And after that point, you start to see a lot of increases. Now, sure, a lot of these increases also are other DLC, and I'm going to get to that. But you can see a fine line here between all negative, and of course it's not all positive, but you start to see a lot of positives going forward here. In fact, so in March, before UVHM came out, the average players were 7,122. It didn't get that low again until April 2014, over a year later. So after UVHM came out, you got a bump and you never fell back to those levels until a year later. That's a long time. A ton of games come out in a year. Keeping a player base playing a game for a year and increasing those numbers, that's impressive. So then you had another slow one, but then all of a sudden you had another kick up that lasted a couple months and it fell back down there. So let's start going over when the DLCs came out. So the first DLC that came out was actually Gauge on October 9th. So early October, we already had a new character come out and we still dropped half our player base. And then October 16th, halfway through the month of October, you also got the Pirate DLC. And you still lost half your player base. So 2 DLCs in October, and you lost 47% of the player base. Not looking good. And then in November 20th, so late November, we got the Torg DLC. So at this point, we have 3 DLCs. We're still losing half our player base. Then it starts to flatten out, and I'm thinking December had a lot to do with Christmas sales. gift giving and such. And in January, we got the Hammerlock DLC. In January, it kind of went flat. So is January a hangover from people getting it for Christmas? Word of mouth getting out that it's a good game, or the Hammerlock DLC? It's hard to say, but at this point, we've got 3 campaign DLCs and a new character, and the game's going down. So then you have February, March. There's nothing in February, and then March, the UVHM doesn't come out till the end of it. And that's where we start to see kickups. So this is UVHM 1 here. In May, you got Krieg, so that's a big bump up. You want to, well, Krieg was awesome, but Gauge had no effect on the game here. But Krieg plus UHM equals a huge bump. And that's where, I kind of argue that is all the DLCs pre-UVHM did not give the game any increase. It still just fell. And at this point, you're getting big numbers on top of big numbers. Where this, I get the first month, you're probably still going to see a drop. But with 2 DLCs, you shouldn't see a 47% drop. Other AAA titles don't see drops like that. So this is Krieg, and then you get nothing in June. Small drop, but really insignificant. It's really flat there. And then July, actually, sorry, June was the Tiny Tina DLC, but that came out June 25th. So, once again, did not really have any effect here, but you got most of that Tiny Tina traffic here since it came out so late in the month. Then we move on, nothing in August. And then September was UVHM 2 with Digistruct Peak. That came out September 3rd. So that didn't really do a lot. The player base kept kind of falling off there. I'm a little surprised that it didn't do better there. But it did go down with the second pack. And then October was the first Headhunter pack, TK Bajas, which, brought a little bit back, not a lot. November was the Waddle Gobbler, that didn't really do anything. You actually lost players on that one. December was the Marcus DLC, or the Marcus Headhunter pack, which I think it's this combined with Winter Steam Sale, which I think Borderlands was on, as well as just Christmas sales. So I don't think this is all the Marcus DLC here. January, there's nothing, but it regained a slight bump, but pretty much stayed flat. February was the Moxie Headhunter pack. And March, no, not March, sorry. March, you had a big drop off. April was the Son of Crawmarak's Sir Hammerlock Headhunter pack. And that one, it still dropped, but not nearly by as much as it was. That came out halfway through the month. And then the next month it remained flat, so I think there's some residual there helping it. And that was it. After that, the game is over. That was the last release. Now, the reason I got a big increase in June, I'm not sure what happened in June, to be honest. Was this maybe the loot hunt? I don't remember exactly when those dates came on, but that looks like it might have been. Or this could have been a Steam Summer Sale time as well. I'm not entirely sure. But if you look at this, so August 2014, we have 17,000 people playing it on average at one time. Now let's go back to the beginning here. 61, 31, 15. So, best month, second best month, third best month. The fourth best month of the game was in August 2014. Just shy of 2 years after the release. If the fourth best month of a game is 2 years after its release, and this is a game that's remained in the top 25 for most of this time, how the hell did Ultimate Vault Hunter ruin the game? The answer is it didn't. If UVHM was bad for the game and that difficulty was bad for the game, you would see these numbers continue to drop, not continue to grow. And some people have tried the argument, well, it's because there's so much content in it that it did well because there's so many DLCs and characters and etc. That you could use as an argument if those DLCs gave it net gains after they came out. But they didn't. The game lost every month until UVHM came out. And that was with 1 character DLC and 3 story DLCs. It still did nothing but lose, 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 and lose more. Post UVHM had a hell of a lot of gains. In fact, it didn't fall back down. Well, it did these 2 months. Then it came back up. And it took until February 2015 to go back down before the pre-UVHM level of March 2013. And even now, in the last 30 days, more people played it than they did in March 2013. In fact, more people played it in March 2015 than they did in March 2013. That's weird. I mean, it did have some bad months here like May, but at this point the game's old as hell. But it's kind of maintaining decent numbers, especially for such an old game. Especially when a sequel came out. So, UVHM, there's no way I can understand an argument where UVHM was anything but good for the game, looking at the numbers. You can look at anecdotal evidence of, I went to Reddit and there's a lot of forums saying UVHM sucks. I went to the Gearbox forums and there's a bunch of threads saying UVHM sucks. That's like the same 50 people just complaining in a circle. It's small numbers. I mean, 50 people to 15 million is nothing. Or even to the 14,000 that played it this month. 50 people are not a significant number. So that's why I don't buy that stuff. And then you have the other argument is like, whoa, it chases away the casuals. So 61,000 people start playing the game on average, but 123 different, I think that was the peak amount of players at once. So this isn't even all the people that played it, but you have an average of 61,000 people at one time playing the game. 2 months later, you lose 45,000 of those. And that's not 45,000 people, that's multiplied many times, because once again, this is the average people playing it. That's the casuals. They buy the game, they beat it on normal. Actually, a lot of the casuals buy the game. Some of them will just play it to Sanctuary and move on. Some of them will beat the game and move on. Some of them will go and beat it in True Vault Hunter mode and move on. That's the casual market. They bought Borderlands 2, they beat it, they traded it in, and they bought the next big AAA title. These people that are sticking around post that mass drop are not the casual players. Because they all disappeared here, or at least most of them. So if the game retained this 61,000, I can see catering to the casual market. But the people that keep playing the game are not the casuals. Because the casuals kept leaving, and then the hardcore players came back. Because then there was a difficulty, and there was farming. So I don't buy those arguments, because I believe in math and I believe in numbers. I'm not the smartest person in the world, so maybe I'm completely reading this wrong, and someone smarter than me can explain it to me. But unless I hear some good reasoning why post UVHM right here in late March 2013, I'm highlighting the wrong one. If someone can explain to me why that difference happened correlated with that release, this is the best I have to go off of. So difficulty is good, difficulty is not bad. Thanks for watching. Bye.